Hi everyone, today I'll be checking out this Liquid AIO coming from Lian, known as the Galahad 2 Lite. I have the 240 variant and also the 360 variant. I'll be testing on both. With this said, I'd like to thank Lian to have provided this unit for me to share with everyone, and to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. Now this unit comes only with one color, be it 240 or 360, which is black. And there are two different variants. If you choose to have the radiator fans without the ARGB, it will be either the 240 or 360 performance. If you want the fans to have ARGB effects, it will be 240 or 360 ARGB. And what's inside the package? Well, you're gonna love this. As the name have mentioned, Lite. So the packaging is pretty straightforward. Now, besides the main unit that you have, you will be provided with an instruction manual setting all the steps for you to mount the Intel and the AMD platform, inclusive of a very special way to apply the thermal paste, where you have this provided: a thermal paste, a spatula, and the template. And these are the steps for you to apply the thermal paste. You'll be provided with 12 short screws. This is meant for your Liquid AIO radiator to be mounted to your case. The back plate for Intel, which is meant for 1700 or the 1851. Now this is the only two socket that you can play with. And the spacer for your Intel. And the brackets for AM5 or AM4 platform. Kindly note that be it these are the performance or the ARGB variant, both 240 and 360, the radiator and the pump are of the same measurements. The only difference between the fans, which is the performance versus the ARGB, is the width of the fans. Now, I'll talk about the fans later, starting off with the measurements on the radiator. For the 240, this length is of 276 mm. The width is at 120 mm. And as for the thickness of the radiator, this is at 27 mm. Now, these performance fans have a thickness of 28. So if you total up together with the radiator, this is 55 mm. Now, as for the 360, be it the width, the thickness, and the fan together with the radiator, right, they are of the same measurement. The only difference is the length. This is at 397 mm. Now, for the fin stack, as I measured 1 inch, which is here, it gives you 20 fins per inch. The body of the radiator, inclusive of the fin stack, are all aluminium and is very sturdy. At both ends, there isn't any logo, which is very plain. Now, they do provide very good sleeve peels. See, nicely braided. And on one end, this is without any swivel point. Else, on the pump end, this is swivelable. And the total length of the tube is at 400 mm. Now, looking at the pump, for the measurements, be it from the top to the bottom, from the left to the right, this is at 74 mm. And as for the height, from the cold plate to the top, this is at 64 mm. And when I turn over to the bottom, a very large cold plate, which is Corbell, this will be good. Be whether Intel or AMD, it will definitely touch the whole surface of your IHS. Now, one thing I like about this pump, different from other Lian pumps, right? Be it whether you're mounting an AM4 or an Intel platform, they are using 4 points, so you don't have to move this bracket. And as I show you, the accessories are very simple. Now, on this end of the pump, you'll be provided with these two cables. You only need to feeder with these two cables. One, which is for the ARGB effect, which is on the pump itself, and the other is the 4-pin PWM fan connector. This pump allows you to run at a max load of 3800 RPM. If you find that it's a bit noisy, you can tune it down, but not lower down than 80%. Meaning to say the pump should be around 3000 RPM consistently. Be it at full load 3800 or 3000, make sure you run the pump in a consistent speed and not setting it to PWM. Reason being, right, if you do that for prolonged period of time, if your motor goes up and down based on the temperature, you will damage the pump. So make sure to run at a consistent speed. Now, as for the diffusion and design of this pump, let me just show you. Okay, probably I should lower down the lightings. Now, a very nice lit up on the logo, or should I say the wording, Lian. And at the side, the whole rim, right, is infinity mirror. Nice touch. And of the rim, this is a diffusion of ARGB. Now, it will be best that you mount the pump on your processor, be it Intel or AMD platform, with the tube facing downwards. That will give you a optimized performance, meaning to say to the max. If you place it to this way, right, where the hose is near the RAM, it will not be so ideal. I've tested this, so I'm telling you this. Now you might be saying, hey Kyo, if I'm going to place it this way, right, due to the space constraint towards your M.2 where the hose is blocking, you can only place it this way. Now my problem is the logo is in a wrong orientation. Do not worry, you can remove this orientation. See, you can remove this whole crest over here. In fact, they have done it this way for you to customize the crest. If you are able to, you know, probably I would say 3D print this cap here and to have your own design. Now that is that. If you find that the orientation over here, right, having the hose near the RAMs and the wording is incorrect, you can turn, see, and to cap. So you can do it this way or you can do it this way, either way. But as mentioned, best that you have your tube towards the M.2 facing this way. Right now, heading to the fans, let me just turn this off and to bring up the lightings. Now, as for the fans, oops, I have taken off from the radiator, as I will explain to you how wonderful they have designed these fans. Now, these are the performance fans, not the ARGB. I wouldn't know how the ARGB fans daisy chain, but this is excellent. When I pick off the whole unit, right, not removing the fans, I can't see any cables at the side. Reason being, right, take a look. This fans, in fact, both sides you have this clip on where you can take it out. And there's a function for this clip, by the way. I'll let you know later. For one side, right, with having the cables, you can daisy chain them. So when you daisy chain them, right, tuck the cables to this grooving over here, as you can see. Same goes to the front. Then once you align this, right, you can just cover with this cap. And you will just conceal all the cables that you have daisy chained, just like the rest of the fans. Now, another point is that, why do they have both ends whereby one is to conceal the cable and the other doesn't have a cable? Well, as I mentioned to you, these fans are not with ARGB effect. And based on the past, for the P28 fans from Lian, they do have this add-on side ARGB kit, whereby you can make use of this, okay, and to plug it in, and to have your ARGB effect at the side. Nice touch. But do take note, the original fan orientation, okay, let me just move this and to plug this. Now, you have to be very, very careful. The original fan width is at 124 millimeter. Okay, this is 120, this is 124. If you're going to clip with these strips, right, it's going to increase the width. It will be 128. Okay, take a look at this too. Okay, when I put side by side, see, it's protruding out. It's protruding out. So you got to be careful with this. Now coming to the structure of the fan, they are very sturdy, it doesn't wobble. It has a nice design, okay, very subtle design, and best part is squared. So when you daisy chain the fans together, right, there are no air pockets in between. So all the fan airflow, right, will be channeled through just this section, the cylinder, and through your radiator. Nice touch. Now this are of 7 bladers, and if you notice, right, the blade itself, there are some cuttings on the blade. This will scoop tons of air. With this said, this end is just a normal sticker that says Lian, and on each end of the fans it comes with anti-vibration rubber grommets, be it this side or this side. And over at this end, okay, you have this ugly frame which you will not see because you're gonna place the radiator, the frame area, right, to the radiator so that it will scoop air from the back and to pass through your radiator. Now as for the fan spec, kindly note this is for performance, alright. For the ARGB, I'll just leave it on my top left hand corner, you can take a look. Now as for the performance ones, it's written over here. It runs at 12 DC at a current of 0.27 ampere, and the minimum RPM is at 200 to a max RPM of 2500. Now as for the CFM, as in like the airflow, is at 73.14 CFM, and as for the static pressure is at 5 mm H2O. Preparation of the Intel platform is pretty straightforward. I'm using a 1700 socket. Now there's only one backplate that's applied to this unit, whereby it says 1700, but you can make use of this backplate on a 1851 socket. Now besides this, you will need the spacer. First thing you do, turn over your motherboard, and I want to advise you to do this outside of the case and on a flat mat. Now I'm just going to zoom in. As you can see on the back of the motherboard, you have this frame over here that has screw showing at the back and these 4 holes. With the back plate, remove off this 2 tab, or should I say sticker. This in fact is a double-sided tape. Now align all these 4 threads protruding upwards to face downwards, then to the 4 holes. Now when you're doing this, right, removing the tape and such, do not place your bracket this way. Take a look. As I mentioned to you, right, the frame itself have this holes, this screw showing you. It is supposed to align to the holes over here. So if you do it this way, right, it will be incorrect. And reason for this, right, the tape that you have peeled off, which is double-sided, right, does not have a very good grip on this frame. So make sure you do it this way, where it's parallel to the frame and the holes are showing the screw of the frame. So do it this way. Make sure you remove off the tape and to place it down. And as mentioned to you, why do you need to have this done outside the case and on a flat mat? Because when you turn over, right, the pressure will be on the back plate and you will stick firmly as a leverage to the frame, and this will give you better thermal results. So I'm just going to turn over. Now on the front end, you will see all this protruding up, the threads itself. Well done, Lian. I love this so much, based on the fact that this corner over here, right, I hate it so much on Intel, whereby some of the Liquid AIO I need to use the standoff and to screw on it. With my fat fingers, it's very hard to feather. Instead, Lian have provided you with the spacer. And be it this direction or the other direction, okay, that means to say this direction or the other direction, it doesn't matter. Clip this to all the 4 threads and to push it down. See, as mentioned, having a flat surface, right, and to mount this, right, is so much easier. Okay, and do a light press on it. Don't press on the center, light press so that the back plate, right, is stick to the back of your motherboard. Once it's done, right, put your processor in, clean off with alcohol, wipe it dry, apply thermal paste. Next thing will be the pump block. Now, as for the pump block, this is with a protective plastic. Make sure you remove this off first. Once that's done, right, I would recommend you to make use of alcohol and a wipe to clean off the surface, make it dry. Reason being, right, when you peel off this tape over here, right, there might be sticky substance or residue on the cold plate. So do that. Once you've done that, as mentioned to you, the hose should be facing towards the M.2 area. So with this, right, align the 4 holes over here, or the mounting board, to the thread. Okay, you don't have to force your way. Just grab, anchor it, anchor to the next point, anchor to the next point. Once you have that, right, hold on to the pump itself to give even pressure. Then use a screwdriver, okay, to screw it in. Alternately, meaning to say from here, maybe 1 round, twist it 1 round, over here, twist it 1 round, at here, twist it 1 round, at here, twist it 1 round. Repeat the pattern this way so that you have even pressure of the cold plate towards your processor, and that will yield good thermal results. Once this is completed, next thing you will need to feeder are these 2 cables on the pump, where you have the 3-pin 5V ARGB. Connect this to the 3-pin 5V ARGB connector. Okay, let me just zoom in, which is located over here. So I just plug this in. Once this is done, next is the pump header. Now, please make sure you plug this pump header to the pump, this pump connector to the pump header on your motherboard, which says either AIO underscore pump or pump underscore fan or even W underscore pump. Okay, reason for this, right, the header that contains that will give more amperage, as in like sufficient amperage for your pump to cycle, as in like the motor to cycle. So make sure you do that. I know this is actually on the second header, which is the AIO underscore pump. I'll just plug this in. Once this is done, next will be your radiator fans. Okay, at the end of your radiator fans, you have this cable. The 4-pin PLN connector, make sure you plug it to your CPU fan, as in like CPU underscore fan, and not CPU underscore op. Some of the motherboard have that CPU underscore op. That's the wrong header. Do not plug your radiator fans, right, to that. Make sure you plug it to your CPU underscore fan, because this is the primary or master header for your radiator fans or even the air cooler. But right now it's actually liquid cooler. So make sure you plug it over here. Once this is done, right, this is complete. For AMD platform, be it AM4 or AM5, the process is the same. First thing, remove off the original bracket, unscrew these screws over here. Now you will need to retain the screws, okay, for later usage. Then next thing, mount this AM4 or AM5 brackets. Where you see on the bracket itself there is arrow that says CPU pointing towards. See? Same goes to here. So when you place this bracket, right, make sure that it's pointing towards your CPU. Make use of the screws that was originally on the original bracket. These are the screws. Just mount it. Now the way that I mount it, some of you have asked, do I screw it, tighten it on one end and such? My answer is no. What you can do is, like what I'm doing right now, I will screw this in, but once the screws stop, I will not tighten. See, this is done. Next, I'll do this. Apply the same to the rest. You don't have to screw it tight first. This is called anchoring whatever bracket to the motherboard. Now reason for this, right, if you tighten one side, right, the bracket itself, okay, assuming that you have tightened one area too much, right, see, this is going to lift up. So by anchoring, right, you are actually sitting the thing on the whole bracket, right, on the motherboard first. So this is the idea of it. Do not screw over screw one end, whereby this will lift up. So when you screw to the other end, right, this might not be level, and that will yield bad thermal results. So once you have done this, right, then you tighten down. I will just do a quarter turn on each end, and it's done. Next thing you do, clean your processor with alcohol, wipe it clean, apply thermal paste. Then on the cold block, or should I say the cold plate, remove off this sticker. As recommended, make use of alcohol, clean the whole surface, wipe it dry, as you wouldn't know that, you know, the other end, which is this end here, the sticker might have some residue on the cold plate. So make sure you do that. Once you clean completely, remove off this tape. Time for you to mount, and make sure that the hose is facing the M.2 area, anchoring the 4 mounting bolt screw points to here. And how I anchor it, because when you place this mounting bolt on this screw threads over here, right, it's not going to smudge your thermal paste. All is needed, anchor it. Okay, probably I would to zoom out a bit. Hold on one area. Okay, align, just align, right, to the thread, and next align to the second thread. So this way, right, you will have a proper holding. Then do it the same on the rest. Next thing to do, hold on to the pump. Okay, don't press it too hard, it's just holding it, just giving some weight for the pump to sit level to your IHS. Then do this cycle, as in like one turn over here, then one turn over here, one turn over here, and then the last point, which is at the back. Okay, I can't really see it. One turn. Repeat this pattern till 4 of the mounting bolt reach to a point where you can't screw any further. Do not over tighten, right? Once you reach it, stop. And this will give even pressure of your, assuming this is the cold plate, to your processor. That will yield good results. The final step are the cables. As mentioned to you, okay, let me just zoom in. Now, for the ARGB connector of the pump, plug it to the ARGB header on your motherboard. Once it's done, right, the pump header, make sure you connect to the pump header on the motherboard, which is this. And why am I so particular about the pump header on the motherboard to be connected, right? Because as mentioned again and again, this provides a better amperage for your pump to rotate the pump motor at a consistent rate, and there are no current leakage. So make sure you plug it to your pump header or the AIO pump. Next, the final step will be your radiator fans, which is supposed to be this cable. At the end, the 4-pin PWM fan connector, right, connect to the CPU fan header on your motherboard. And make sure you plug it to the CPU underscore fan. As mentioned again and again, this is the master controller and the primary controller. Do not plug it to CPU underscore op. Okay, make sure you do this. Gonna do a sound test, and as you can see, my microphone is here. I'm just gonna remove this and to place it near the pump. That's how it sounds like with the pump. Now I'm just going to place it over here, and this will take the readings from the pump and from the radiator fans. And do take note that the radiator fans is drawing air from the back and to push to the front. So this is at idle. Now I'm just going to ramp up the Cinebench, and this is how it sounds like at load. So that's how it sounds like at load. I'm just going to let it settle down and to let you listen to the idle noise again. And this is at idle. Going to ramp up the Cinebench again. Next, I'll be conducting the thermal test for the 360 Liquid AIO and the 240. And this is how it's mounted. It's open bench. And my radiator is on my right, where I mentioned the fan is blowing over here. And do take note, my room temperature is at 30 degrees Celsius. Okay? So, I'm not going to turn on aircon as such. This is based on a tropical island in Singapore, or should I say tropical country. A quick rundown on how I conduct the thermal test. As mentioned to you, my room temperature is 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, and these are the system specs that I'll be using. The things that I've enabled is the expo profile on my RAMs. Now take note, I'm not using any discrete graphic card, which I'll explain to you later. As for the PBO2 limits in UEFI, these are the settings that I've set in white. These are the value. Right, and I deliberately pull Ryzen Master throughout the benchmark just to show you that all this configuration at the top, the PPT, the TDC, and the EDC, right, it matches with all these figures over here. Okay, the PPT, TDC, and EDC. You can match yourself. Now, it doesn't mean that I've set all these figures over here, the value, the system is going to pull. The system will only do that providing that you know how much cooling your Liquid AIO can do. And with this said, right, things to take note during the benchmark are the temperature, of course, the CPU itself, the motherboard, the MOSFET, the RAMs, and the M.2. And also to take note on the vCore, the clock speed and such, with the power package, how much it's drawing. Alright, and this diagram over here, in fact, I'm conducting two. So the first one is 360, the second one is 240. And do take note on this clock, core clock, which will show you how consistent it is for the liquid cooler, right, for this system to pull at that frequency most of the time. Now, for this core clock, which you see over here, right, in fact, it's the average of core 0 all the way to core 15. In fact, it's all the 16 core. Okay, just to show you. See? The average out, which give you this figure, which will show over here. So do take note on this. If it drops at 4 point something and such, right, it doesn't mean that the individual core is not pulling, at a higher rate. Alright, so take note on this. Now, the actual test, how I do it is, I mounted the Liquid AIO. I run 30 minutes Cinebench and Firmark together, stress test, let it idle for 5 minutes, and to do another 10 minutes throttle test. This is considered one set. And this one set, right, I will record the last 10 minutes. Followed by the second set, which I dismount the Liquid AIO, I place it back. Again, I run 30 minutes stress, 5 minutes idle, 10 minutes throttle test, and I record it down. And then I do the same again, remove the AIO, place it back, and do the third set. So these 3 sets will have the last 10 minutes. With the last 10 minutes, I will choose out of the 3 which is the best result. And this is what you will see. Starting off with the 360 Liquid AIO. So as you can see, it's running. Okay, just to show you, look at the timestamp and look at the temperature and such. This is only at the beginning. Let me pull all the way. Okay, you can witness over here, all the way to the last 3 minutes, which is around here. Okay, and I run. It's running right now. See, it's moving. I was shocked when I look at the stats. First of all, the temperature is hovering super good, which is around 80 to 81 degrees Celsius. And when I look at the clock frequency, I was shocked. Yes, maintaining at 5 gig on average. But when I look at the individual clock, my goodness. Okay, this is boost clock. It can run 5.2 max or 5.175. I'll take the max at 5.2 on a 360 Liquid AIO. And most stunningly, look at the clock. I mean the graph. It's flat. This tells me that the Liquid AIO, is comfortably cooling the system and letting it run with a sustained clock on each individual clock. Okay, even though it's like hovering around a bit, which is 5.175 to 5.2 gig, right? It is very comfortable. See, there are no lots of jagged and such. In fact, I've reached the equilibrium of the clock with all the settings. Well done. Now, with this said, right, on the 360 itself, let me just pause this. Let me just take down all the readings. Okay, starting with the CPU. Okay, taking it at this average. Okay, I just let it run while I'm taking the readings. The temperature is 81 degrees Celsius. Okay. Okay, let me just copy this and to paste everywhere so that you have the degrees Celsius. Then the clock frequency, as I mentioned to you, right, most of the time is 5.2 or 5.175. I'll take the max, which is 5.2 gigahertz. The mumble temperature, or should I say the motherboard temperature, is hovering at 46 to 47. So I'll take it as 47 max. Oops. Then as for the MOSFET, it's hovering 55.5. And the RAMs A2 and B2, we have A2 is 44.5 and B2 is 43.2, and my M.2 is at 46. Now, on every Cinebench, there is always a score at the end. So I'm just going to pull and show you the result. See, this is the result. And I'm just going to place this result over here, which is 36,408. So this is the result for 360. Now, hovering over to the 240. Okay, this is the 240. I'll let it run. Oops. See, it's running. Okay, at the beginning, yeah, nothing much to see. So right now, I'm just going to pull to the last 3 minutes. Okay, which is around here. And I let it run. Take a look at the temperature. Hovering around 83, 84, 85. In fact, most of the time it's actually 85 degrees Celsius. And the clock speed is able to sustain at a max of 5.175. It's between from 1.15 to 1.175. So I'll take the max. And look at the temperature over here. Yes, a bit concerning about the VRM, which is actually 63 degrees Celsius. Okay, it's slightly higher than the 360, but overall it's still hovering very well. So nothing to be alert unless it's reaching about 70 degrees Celsius. Then probably you will be, more cautious about this. But the rest, see, the temperature is not going anywhere 50 degrees Celsius, which is a good sign. And look at the graph. My goodness, super flat. This is as good as the 360. So with this said, let me just take down the readings. As mentioned, this is 85 degrees Celsius. Okay, hang on. Let me just copy all this so that I can have the degrees Celsius. So this is 85 degrees Celsius. And this max is at 5.175 most of the time. Okay, then come to the Mambo, which is 6.5. Then for the MOSFET, as mentioned, a bit concerning, 63 degrees Celsius, but still not that bad. Else for the RAMs, this is 45.2, and the other is at 44.2. And the M.2 is 48 degrees Celsius. And the score, let me just pull to the end. This is the score. So I'm just going to take it down. So it's 36,163. Okay, what do I make out on all this? Okay, as I show you the this tool Liquid AIO is fantastic. It can make the graph so flat, be it the 240 and the 360. See? So when I look at it, right, I was asking myself, hey Cleo, this is Lian Galahad 2 Lite. Is it supposed to react this way? I was shocked. You know why? Okay, for 360, as mentioned, this 360 or 240, right, it's actually light. But to me, right, they can do heavy duty stuff. It's like, you throw in a high-end processor, you can just pull. And mind you, though I'm using a 7950X, right, but in practice, even if you use a 9950X, that runs much cooler compared to the 7950X. So I'm using a very hot chip, and yet can sustain this temperature with the clock frequency. And I have never came across with 240 that can run consistent at this temperature. Okay, most of the time I'll be getting 87 degrees Celsius to 88 degrees Celsius, or even to 89 degrees Celsius. And I will not be able to sustain it 5.175, not at all, with a 240. So what I make out of it, right, this, in fact, fantastic Liquid AIO, I'm really speechless. They may have created a monster out of this tool Liquid AIO, which can sustain good thermal, good clock frequency, and overall temperature. It's just that for 240, right, on the high end, I don't understand. See, it's a bit high, but it's still okay. So if you want to do a mid-range kind of a processor, right, just whack a 240 and it's okay. It can be I would say that 7800 X3D with a 240, not a problem. You don't have to worry. Some might even think that, hey, it's not enough. Probably you need a 360. But for this Liquid AIO, right, it checked out very well. Well done. Now I just want to show you the cold plate and the IHS based on the original thermal paste that I made use of from this Liquid AIO. And to remove off, right, this is how I would do it. Yeah, I'll hold on the pump, then I do the reverse way, which is doing alternately. See, unscrewing bit by bit. And this, somehow you need to be patient, because I just want to see how evenly spread when I squash the whole whole cold plate to the IHS. Now I'm just going to fast forward this, okay, till about here. I unplug all the cables and such. Using both hands holding on to the pump, I put it out. Take a look. It is so evenly spread. That's the reason why I'm having very good thermal. And looking on the IHS itself, see, I've totally covered the bottom section, which the most critical CCD1 and CCD2, both dies, and this is also covered. Wow, this Liquid AIO is fantastic. I gotta be honest with everyone here regarding about this Lian Galahad 2 Lite. I wasn't expecting the result to be this way. In fact, throughout the whole saga of the Galahad from Lian, be it the original, the Lian Galahad 2 Trinity, the SL version, the Galahad 2 LCD, the Hydro Shift, and the, lots more other Liquid AIO, or should I say only a few? Yeah. So those few, right, starting off with the original was okay, but there seems to be some issues over there, but they rectified the issue. Then coming to the normal Galahad 2 Trinity, well, that looks good, but doesn't really perform well as compared to the performance and the LCD. Then here comes the Hydro Shift. Now, for the LCD to Hydro Shift, in fact, these are the most expensive Liquid AIO, though they perform. So that doesn't kick off my mind, sitting that, I mean, if you do have the budget, you can purchase it. It looks nice in your case, and it does perform. But on the price point wise, right, think it this way: after a few years later, probably 6 years or 7 years, your Liquid AIO gonna die. Okay, and are you able to reuse the LCD? So that's my take. You're paying so much for it, and some of the Liquid AIO out there, right, you're able to take out the LCD panel, which is good. You can reuse the LCD panel even if the Liquid AIO is dead. So those are the ones that didn't really entice me. Then here come Block Soda sending me this unit, and I was actually testing it for 3 to 4 weeks, okay, before I released the content. In fact, this unit is released last year, 24th of October 2004. But I'm not too sure why they didn't, advertise this out. I mean, proudly. Maybe due to the fact that it's just a simple ARGB on the pump block and that's it. But when Block Soda sent me this unit, right, when I tested it, right, I was holding my breath and was like holding my excitement not to let out the catch. And there you have it, guys. This Liquid AIO, my goodness, looking at the MSRP, looking at the price, looking at the performance, in fact, it did beat some of the Galahad 2 Trinities, to be honest with you. Plus the price point, fantastic. And what I like about this unit, right, the word Lite. Simple accessories. You only need this bracket to mount your AMD. Okay, you only need this backplate and the standoff to mount your Intel. As for the bracket on the pump itself is 4-point. You don't even need to dismount this bracket and to change. This is very good, and it has a very balanced, the balance level to press the thermal paste to the processor, which I've shown you. And it's solid, one big piece, well done. The most shocking thing besides the whole unit, right? Okay, for the 360, to be honest, I didn't expect that it will go 81 degrees Celsius throughout, and it's able to hover at more than 5.2 GHz consistently and have a max boost of 5.5 gig on a 7950X. This is in fact a very good cooler and is of a cheap budget. Nicely done. Now, what shocked me even further, the 240. I wasn't expecting that this 240 can run a 7950X at a temperature of 85 degrees Celsius. I was expecting it to run at around 87 or 88 or maybe towards 89 degrees Celsius. My mind was blown away when I start to test on this. It's like, to be honest, I've tested this. When I had this unit, right, I tested this more than 6 times, removing and reapplying with the thermal paste that Lian have given me extra. I was like, how can this be? A 240 is hovering around there. In fact, all the runs that I've mounted, right, the max it goes is 86 degrees Celsius, and most of the time it's actually 85 degrees Celsius or below. I was like, this is a 240 unit, okay? The radiator is not thick, but the advantage is actually the pump is doing something which I can't understand how it works, because for AMD, right, by right, okay, the die itself, right, if you to have the holes this way, the CCD1 and CCD2, right, it should be going this way, but instead having the tube to mount, which I witnessed myself at the bottom, fantastic. it does, outperform. In fact, this 240 have outperformed some of my 360 Liquid AIO. So I seriously do not know what to say. Another thing is that the locking mechanism, the daisy chain, well done. As this clip, right, you can remove them. And best part is that you can add on with those ARGB, strip, which I showed you earlier. You can purchase that and clip just to add the ARGB effect. But without it, I think it's more than enough, because the pump itself is more than elegant. Best part is that this thing here, right, you can move. Okay, let me just use the other unit. Now for this, right, you can remove and to change, or maybe having a 3D print yourself, right, to design your own logo, as the whole patch over here, right, is a diffusion of the ARGB. Nicely done. Now the only thing that I do not like about this unit itself, fingerprints. See, I wish that Lian should provide some microfiber cloth to actually clean all these fingerprints, which I really dislike. So this is the only thing that I do not like. Besides this, I have nothing much to dislike about this whole unit. In fact, it is budget friendly. It is so easy to mount. It takes you a few seconds, and best of all, they are great performance. Lian, you have done a monster out of this Liquid AIO, and they are of budget. Well done. I'd like to thank Lian to have provided this unit for me to share with you guys, and to Block Soda to have done the arrangement on the delivery. If you guys are new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.